Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. That was a very nice intro of ANI by Priyank. Now, we would like to take you into the panel discussion. And to begin with, let's see who are our panelists today. And also want to bring a little bit of context around why this particular topic. When we were discussing with Priyank, like what he's mentioned, there has been a lot of research done, and what is the current situation, and what would be a relevant topic in today's world. Based on what was trending in multiple different forums, ANI chose this topic of how to stick to our priorities to be the topic for our panel discussion today. And a very brief intro about me. I am Sashi. I work with ThoughtWorks, and I will be moderating the panel discussion today. I've been in the industry for over 2 decades, and I have taken a career break of 3 years and then started my second innings. Here I am. I am very passionate about sharing my learning on agile practices and learning from others as well. And as we go through, we'll be talking to our panelists. And I would like to quickly introduce our next panelist. I would start with Ananta. Ananta, would you like to go?
Thanks, Sashi. So myself, Ananta Narayanan, I am an agile coach and IBS coaching. So again, 20 plus years of experience and 10 plus in the agile space alone. That's more interesting is what I would say from agile per se. And coach, transformation lead, evangelist, whatnot you can talk about. Married again to 2 daughters, and hobbies pretty long, and what I call in Tamil posties. Okay, it's also that universal word. It's not just a little bit Tamil. So travel, long drive, photography, music, books, whatnot. So I'm there. That's in a nutshell about me. Over to you, Sashi. Thank you.
Thank you, Ananta. Kavita, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yep. Thank you, Shashi and Anand. Good afternoon, all. Kavita Paneerselvam, as you all know. I work as a product manager in Mr. Cooper, and coming with around 13 years of experience. I'm responsible for delivering concrete and valuable results that will change the life of business as well as the customers. I wouldn't call myself as a master of all, but jack of all trades. I sit in between the UX tech and the business guys. So pretty much, professional side is what it is. And I'm a mother of a 10-year-old daughter, and she's like a partner in crime, as you see in my slide. We go along each other a long way. Thank you guys for this opportunity.
Thank you, Kavita. Let's go to Sanal. Sanal, you're on mute.
Yeah. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Sanil. I am in computers for the last 20 years, currently working as a senior manager. My company is into value stream management, DevOps, Scrum training. Currently, we are into VSM, and it's a new company altogether, just merged 5 companies together. So it's really excited to be part of this group. So I would like to hear more from this panel about how to stick to your priorities. So family, I have 2 kids, 9th and 5th. So thank you, and nice to be part of this team. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanal. Over to you, Vijay. Vijay is our 4th panelist joining today.
Hey, I'm Vijay. I have around 15 years of experience. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I'm Vijay. I have around 15 years of experience. The first 5 years of experience had been in product development, and the next 5 years stint has been in what I call as the corporate innovation. So I was responsible for driving the culture of innovation in larger enterprises. And the third 5 years has been in product management. So that's about my 15 years of experience. And I am very passionate about creating awesome product experiences for my customer. And on the personal front, I live in Chennai with my wife and son, 10 years in. I'm very excited to be part of this discussion today. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Vijay. Had I known you love singing, we could have put that as the music when we were waiting for the audience to join. We'll keep that in mind. Thank you. Thank you all for the quick introduction. Now let's go to the most look forward discussion on the very relevant topic of how to stick to our priorities. I'm going to be stop sharing my screen right now. We don't need to see the screen. Why are we talking about priorities and talking about sticking to priorities, right? We are, I mean, I'm sure everybody can relate to that. Currently, we are in the pandemic, how we had to switch everything around us. The plans went for a toss 6 months ago. We called it the new normal, getting used to the new normal, next normal. So I would like to start with, understanding what are priorities. Why is it important to have something like a priority, and how is it different? Is it applicable for everybody? Is it applicable only in the personal life, in the professional life? So let's start with having this question discussed by our panelists. I'm going to start with Vijay. Vijay, what's your thought on priorities, and why do you think these are important?
Hey, thank you, Shashi. According to me, priorities are things that matter the most to you and the family in your personal life, or to you, the customers and business in the professional world. And why it is important, I believe this quote says it all. There is never enough time to do everything, but there is always enough time to do the most important thing. I repeat it again because it's inspiring. There is never enough time to do everything, but there is always enough time to do the most important thing. So thus, priorities help define what is core to your business in the professional life and help deliver that to perfection. And in turn, that defines your brand, who you are. And usually what I have seen is that business priorities lie at the intersection of things that give the most value to your customers, which is desirability, that we as a company is best positioned to serve, which is feasibility, and most viable to our company's business, which is viability. And as an example, a priority in my life, right? One of my foremost priorities in my life is people around me. I have put myself that this is my priority. In the professional front, my teams comes first, my customers come second, and the business stakeholders come third, and in that order. Because I have a conviction that if I take care of the team, they would take care of my customers, and happy customers take care of the stakeholders naturally. And similarly in my personal life, my family comes first, friends second, and relatives next, in that order. So just as an example, I would say that these are some of my priorities in life in the personal and professional world.
That was very beautifully put, Vijay. Thank you. I'm going to ask Sanil to share his views on this topic as well.
Sure. So with this pandemic situation, right, I hope everyone is setting up the goals and working to improve the productivity. So priorities are core to the successful growth in any personal or professional lives. Being a productive is not about things what you do, but to make the things first in order of priority. So in life, right, achieving your goals is not knowing about all your priorities. So priorities are based on values, what you deliver. So you access them in order to focus on the most valuable output you can make. So I know prioritizing tasks is a lot of effort, and you should plan your work in a way that it can be delivered part by part, and maybe step by step. Then you organize your time. Time is very important in prioritizing all these things. So set your priorities. You will have a lot of incidents. So say wherever you need to say no, you just go ahead and say no. So what you will get it when you do priority. So you will be able to align to your business goals the company has set, and you will be able to make higher quality decisions, and also you will be able to use the best of your resources because the team comes first. So you'll be able to use the best resources and also to improve your execution efficiency. So, so how do you prioritize? So, right. So define your goals, focus on your strength, visualize, lay out your plan. So that's all I can say about priority. Over to you, Shashi.
Thank you, Sanal. I think it's a very good start of this discussion with you and Vijay bringing these points up front. And I really like how you ordered it as well as Vijay ordered it, both from the personal front and from the business or the work front. Because if you know who to give importance to, and if you understand the value of why you are giving importance to certain things or to certain people, I think that itself brings the focus onto the right things. And at times, of course, we need to shift our focus from one to the other. And I can completely relate to that as well. So in the last few years, about 3-4 years, I would say, I have been traveling quite a bit domestically. I would be like every other week I travel. So I had to plan and organize in such a way that, I'm not gone every week. Sometimes it's unavoidable. If there is a meeting I have to go to, I would go. So I had to kind of prioritize saying that I have to give importance to my family and my professional career. But at the same time, can I actually balance and give priority to both on a daily basis? I did try that to begin with, especially after taking 3 years of break when I started. As you can imagine, confidence level is low, and I would like to prioritize both because that guilt factor otherwise creeps in, right? I'm not doing fair in both ways. But slowly I learned that it is very, very hard to prioritize both or everything at the same time on a daily basis. So I had to kind of come up with my priorities and say, if there is something happening in the school and I have to be present in the school, I have to shift my priority that day to be. Sorry about that. Something happened, it muted itself. And I had to decide and make sure that, I am prioritizing what is need of that day. So I give importance to that. And something I could say no and let it wait. That's when, it became very, very clear to me. I can have it all, but I can't have it all every day and balance everything and please everybody at the same time. So every day I have to think about what are my priorities? How do I organize myself? Only then I can own to the priorities. The same thing was applicable in the roles I played at my organization as well. I would go with a plan in my mind. There will be things coming my way, and I had to keep prioritizing, making sure that, at the end of the day, when I look back, I have focused on the right thing. So that's when I would say, really, I got clarity in my mind. I shifted from having a to-do list and going by the list, rather, kind of identify what is really, really important to me and put my time and energy on those. And then if I have more time, I can look at the other things. So that's how I would kind of connect, how either you could become a taskmaster, keeping on doing things and being busy, both in business as well as in personal life, versus you can really pick and choose what is important to you, what adds value to the business, and how do you focus on that. So you can plan accordingly and focus on those right things. So that's what I would say in terms of priority. And I think that's a very good start and a segue into what we want to really discuss in this panel. We are talking about priorities, and this panel discussion itself is being organized by Agile Network India. So this is in the premises of Agile, of course, Kanban, Scrum, everything, which is very proven and non-conventional methodology that has been in practice for almost a couple of decades or a little over that. And we are talking about priorities, sticking to our priorities, but at the same time, we are boasting and we are very proud to say that, we are agile, agility is important, be flexible. So now let's hear from our panelists, how do these two things sit with you? How do you connect? Or do you think these are very two contrasting or conundrum kind of a paradox that these two are in and they don't go well together? Agile and priorities and sticking to priorities. Can we talk about that? And I'm looking at Ananta to start this discussion.
Thanks, Shashi. Thanks, Vijay. And Sanal, for the wonderful start on what is our priority, setting the tone, setting the context. And now we are just looking at whether priority and agile go hand in glove. Do they have something in difference as a difference? Now, look at a big picture, slightly at elevated level. We might say agile and priorities are contradictory. Rather, they don't go hand in hand. But look at deeper, you will understand that they are hand in glove. You cannot go one. You cannot separate these two things. So it's something like they go hand in glove with each other. We always, when we talk about agile, we say the need and the want. The customer wants everything, but does he really need them? So what do? You just give the topmost one. Again, look at that what Vijay said, that wonderful quote. There is never enough time to do everything, but there is enough time to do the most important thing. So do that what matters the most, outcome, what we say, and not output. Output is everywhere. So do we look at that? So that is something. And when in agile space, we always say keep the knowns and unknowns keep evolving. So the priorities have to keep changing. So they cannot go with just like that. They have to go. They have to be hand in glove. Sustainability today, pandemic situations. How many customers have changed their priorities? I can give a very classic situation or position from my own company where I'm coaching. We are in the travel and the leisure industry, and we have a product, and modernization is one of the key things what we've picked up. The business, if you look at it, they would be looking at more revenue. But do we get revenue this year? May not be to the level of the expectations. We would have set a goal, but we have to look at delivering value. So the architecture is being looked upon. Can we modernize it? What all can be done? Where automation is lacking, for example, we can look at the business looks at revenue, whereas the tech team in this case is looking at modernization of the platform. So again, these two are contradictory, and priorities come. So where and how you attack your priorities and where you drive your priorities is something very, very important. So that is what I would say the connect between agile and priorities. Over to you, Sashi.
Thank you, Ananta. Let's hear from Kavita what her thoughts are when it comes to agile and priority.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, Anant, for setting that context very right. The needs and wants is what drives us, towards the goal. So if we see at a bigger picture, right, it is not the metrics of each feature that is going to know that becomes debatable. Instead, the company's strategy and the goal is what. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Kavita. Please continue.
Oh, thank you. So it is the company's goal and the strategy what makes more sense, or is what the context that we should always think about. So choosing the right feature to build means it means like prioritizing our long list of ideas into a consolidated list of items that is like which is more important and which is like more which will be more urgent and being realistic to what is needed to the business and the situation currently we are in. Yeah. So without having a list or knowing what is actually needed and trying to solve the problem, it would be like carrying going in, trying to decide whether you want to travel in a car or a bus, whether when you don't know where you are actually heading to. So never even try to attempt a problem just when you hear it for the first time. Think through it, have a discussion, prioritize, and then take it forward. So uh, agile gives us the forum or the avenue for us to prioritize, have a discussion with the right stakeholders, and then take it forward. And same in our personal lives as well, which we do knowing, not knowing, but in when it comes to professional, we have a forum. We call into meetings, we discuss that. So priority is very important when it comes to delivering successful results. Over to you, Shashi.
Thank you, Kavita. Those are two interesting perspectives and kind of situations that you could relate and compare. I'm going to check with Vijay how he is going to put forth his thoughts around agile and priorities. Vijay, could you please share your thoughts?
Yes, Shashi. Is my audio first on?
Yes.
Thank you. Very interesting question, Sasi. So I think one of the questions that I have been pondering since we all met together to have this discussion, right? Sticking to priorities. Everybody would like to stick to priorities. And you also want to be agile. You want to react to the changing needs. So are they conflicting? With a lot of thought, I believe, while they look conflicting at the surface, when we all think a little deep, we can realize that they actually need to or work in tandem. Let me try to illustrate with my work. I work at Trimble, right? We have a lot of hardware and software products for different phases of a construction project. So the domain is construction. Our 2025 vision is connect and scale, which aims to connecting at all the different hardware and software products together to give a seamless experience to my customers. So that's our vision. And I work on a specific product called Trimble Works Manager, and the vision is to enhance the productivity of job site. They are now aligned. The product vision is aligned with the company's vision. And aligned with this vision, I have defined a few strategic priorities as a product manager. Just as an example, seamless office to field interaction, field device management, and remote assistance, to name a few. When the actual priorities doesn't matter, but as an example, I'm saying. And I'm very clear in my mind that I absolutely want to stick to them. Now, while these priorities give me the high level direction to reach my vision or reach the destination, I'm also more and more wanting to acknowledge that there is uncertainty in the path. For instance, I don't know how my features will exactly look like in the product at the start. I have to discover it. I know what's my vision. I know what's my priorities, but the features, when it comes to the features, I don't know exactly how will it look like. I have to discover. And an agile mindset helps me embrace this important fact rather than ignore it. I don't have to believe that, or I should not assume rather that I know everything. No, I know my vision, but I need to discover what should be the exact features. So I create two backlogs, Sashi, one for discovery and another for delivery. And in discovery, my goal is to maximize learning through experimentation with minimal time, keeping customers at the center. And at the end of this discovery exercise, I end up doing one of these three things. Either drop the idea that I started with, or tweak the idea to create a little value better and get into a discovery mode again. Or if I'm convinced of the value, move the idea back to delivery. So this is nothing but agility, right? This is exactly nothing but agility. So in summary, I believe while the why and what are defined by vision and priorities respectively, and you do want to stick to them, the how is usually discovered and delivered with great agility so that you don't lose track of the ground reality. And that's what I believe in, Sashi.
Fantastic, Vijay. I think you kind of brought the view that Ananta started with, and Kavita went into the product management features. Ananta started with the high level conflict, how it could come, needs of the business versus needs for the modernization of technology or the tech organization wanting to prioritize something, how Agile can help, and how do you prioritize features based on what is relevant, what is important that Kavita shared. I think you also wrapped it in a very nice way of saying, how do I look at agility using Agile and embracing Agile at the same time, keep my focus on what I want to get done, within which I would prioritize and go with what business wants.
Exactly.
I think, that agility and embracing Agile and not ignoring it. Agile does provide, Agile, be it Agile or Kanban or Scrum, they all provide nice framework. There are rituals given. For example, if you take a stand-up, it's not just a ritual where we come and just talk about, hey, I'm doing this. It's not just an update forum. It's also meant to be like, has anything changed? Do I have a blocker? Do we want to keep continuing to pick up new things and start doing new things? Or do we want to stop and start completing things? How can we help each other? So that in a way brings your focus back to what did we sign up to as a team? Are we aligned on the priorities? Or am I looking at it as an individual? I want to keep picking new things and keep going with it while one of my colleagues is struggling. Same thing is applicable when we are working with multiple product teams. And, we don't align on the priorities. So I think Agile does provide a beautiful framework, nice rituals. Do we know the meaning of the rituals and how to utilize them? Probably this could be a refresher as well for us to go back and look at how do we bring both of those together? How do we look at how we are doing till yesterday? What was our priority last week? Is it still relevant? we planned for something, but we could not complete it. What are the reasons? Based on that, how can we plan for this week or this sprint? And how do we readjust our plan for the next sprint and the next week, right? All of this are beautifully done if we embrace Agile and if we make use of these rituals. I think this is very energizing for me. It's been quite a while since I even talked about the basics of Agile and how do we go back and refresh it. So I am much more happier. Not sure about the audience. I'm also seeing that there are some chat that's going on there, which we will come to in a little bit. It's very interesting. We are talking about Agile, the practices, how do we manage priorities within Agile? And in reality, though, is it so easy that we can define our priorities and then not worry about anything? And we go and tell somebody, hey, you know what? I have defined my priorities. I'm going to go with that plan. It doesn't actually work like that. So now I would like to hear from you all about what are the factors or what are the dimensions that could come in and distract our priorities or disturb our priorities, and what sort of an impact does it cause, and how do we manage that when those sort of distractions come our way? I'm going to start with Sanal, who brings a very good amount of delivery experience. He is in the product world. He is also having a lot of experience from the quality assurance world. So would like to hear from you, Sanal, about the distracting factors on your priorities.
Sure. I work as a delivery manager in one of the ALM product, and it's pretty much a big product where we host for our customers. So we go our planning based on your priorities, but at times we get issues from customer. I'm part of the emergency response team who take care of the customer issues. So during the middle of your sprint, you get some urgent issue, and how do we prioritize based on that? Because whatever you get from the support, they all comes as urgent and P1. So it's a duty of the managers who work with them to understand the priority, the importance of that issue, urgency, take a call based on the work what you are doing. Not right to keep your priorities going and your customer is in a big mess. So you have to reprioritize sometimes based on your requirement. So at first, it's not that you bring all your team members into customer issues. You may have to remove one person from your Scrum team, make and reprioritize your current sprint with the deliverables. So there is always anything can disturb your priorities. So we follow the Scrum principle. We have a daily stand-up, sprint refinement meetings, planning meeting. But towards the end of the iteration, you need to give something to the customer as a minimum viable product. And to achieve that, we always tend to make things right. And in your personal life, right, you will always have a lot of changes from your family and other things. You may have adjust to it. So we have to reprioritize. So in professional life, right, for example, in my company, we merged a couple of companies together. And now the new management, the direction changes, and which actually hindrance for our current priority. The tools and technologies that we change often, that sometimes hindrance our priorities. So current situation, COVID situation, right? We are all working on from home, and we have some limitation with our network connections, tools, and other things. So we may have to reprioritize based on your current situations. And yes, team iteration. What I see during the last few months, there was no changes, but in the last one, I could see people are moving. So it looks like there are some changes to that, and we have to reprioritize based on that. So with that, I will say if there is a change in the business value, if a company cannot afford the cost, compliance, knowledge, resource, dependency, we may have to reprioritize. So it's not the hard rule that we always go with your current priorities, we may have to reprioritize. Over to you, Shashi.
Thank you, Sanal. Let's hear from Ananta. What does he feel about the distracting factors? And if you can also share, Ananta, from your personal experience, if it impacted and how did you manage that?
Yeah, thanks, Ashit. Thanks, Sanal, for setting the tone for this question. In fact, it's something which keeps beckoning us every time. Let me start this with an example. Again, the travel industry, which is the worst hit in the pandemic. So one of the key things what we started was upon resumption, when we have, for example, the flights start taking off, how do we ensure safety of the passengers? So customers need to be safe. So when that came into focus, what really happened was it rejigged the entire prioritized backlog items. So we went into it, we spoke to our customers, we took them to conference, and we had a wonderful idea which came out from one of our customers on how it can be sorted out. Maybe follow a bit of social distancing pattern in the seating arrangements and stuff like that. There's a lot of innovation ideas which came up. Now, what resulted in this? That disturbed the priority. So we had a set of backlog defined for this quarter, not literally this quarter, starting from the last quarter. We went into the boardroom, design boards, we thought through, we came back and we reprioritized completely. How this could happen? It's simple. We just planned for the quarter. We did not plan for the year. So that really helped us. So agility and priority, linking back to what we spoke, the second question on are they related or not? Yes, they are related. Not only that, user experience impact. A very good example I keep always highlighting to my teams when I coach them is on the iPhone pieces. So iPhone, we all know, just stormed the world just because of the user interface and the single button system, whatever it had. Nokia ruled the world with a lot of smartphones. They were just numero. That really changed the priorities of a particular company. Now Nokia is nowhere. So that disturbs priorities as well. Product feature, classic example. Again, a couple of customers, they wanted a few features to be implemented. And one of them was of a high priority for a revenue realization from the customer's point of view. So do we give them that piece in the next release, or do we prioritize it internally and roll it out as part of the bigger release to the wider customer base? Again, priorities get disturbed. So these are those things which always have to be looked through the lens, understood, and not just from the output perspective, but from an outcome perspective. So what adds value, real value to our customers? So from that is what is very, very important. I'm just trying to correlate or connect 2 points together on the priorities and how pieces as well, which is most important. Over to you, Shashi.
Beautifully put, Ananta. Let's hear from Kavita as well. Kavita, as a product manager, in your experience, what factors do you find disturbing the priorities?
Yeah. So we just to summarize on what Sanal and Ananta covered, they were focusing their points on delivery and agile. Coming from the product side, right? The distraction, with the situation that we ended up in March, will be the lifetime lesson for all of us when we want to measure the importance of prioritization. Yeah, when 2020 started, it was all a great start, and we had a great roadmap. I'm coming from the product management perspective, and I was owning the digital platform in my company. So the product roadmap was so well jotted down, and we exactly knew what delightful customers that features that we can give our customers over every quarter. Okay, but even before the first quarter was about to get over, we had this effect of pandemic, and we had to reprioritize, not only reprioritize, revamp our entire set of features, which will be instead of making customer delightful, we wanted, or the situation in fact forced us to act on the real needs of the customer rather than trying to delight them. How can I go and keep them calm? how can I ensure that their homes are safe? How can I make sure customer doesn't have to panic if he is not able to pay his EMI during the next payout session? So that was really an eye opener from the product backlog perspective. We were not ready. The forbearance plan that we wanted to come up with for every customer, because of natural calamities that could occur in future, like hurricane or some other calamity, storm or anything, we were having forbearance plan right in Q4, but we had to all the way bring them up and write a brand new feature for the customer. And there were difficulties. This is from the product backlog perspective. Okay, there we also had to prioritize from the people perspective, because few of our our own colleagues were not reachable. The work from home model, the new norm, was not available for them, and they had to travel back to their families, who are in different places. So we have to there were priorities from the product level, and there we had to prioritize from the people's availability level. So we had to balance that. And to start with, instead of rolling out a beautiful forbearance plan, show something fancy on the UI, we just pushed a button to the customer, like, are you like in so and so area? If that is the case, do you have anybody around you who are like currently affected? How are you feeling? How is your state of mind? Just give few information and just record your information with us, so that we can hold on with your upcoming payments. So that was that was like a that feature. Okay, though it was not in our plan, that feature became a big bang. And the entire organization's level of thought process got changed after. I see the change coming after this after March, which is like we're traveling the last 8 months with a great learning in terms of prioritization. How effective can a prioritization bring a smile back in customers face, and as well as not spoiling the business, you know and ensure we have a continuity in our business. So that was my great take as a life lesson from this pandemic situation. And being, and on the other side as well, I want to touch upon, like, being a mother, and we started this new norm of working. Prioritization, we all could relate, right? Prioritization was the first thing that came into our mind. Okay, what time should I log in? Should I even get ready? Are these things need to be aligned, put first, or what things should come first? So that's where there will be a lot of distractions in our daily life, and as well as in the professional, with respect to every item that we come across. But as everybody, and the last two conversations that we have been having, it is always good, stop, think through, prioritize, and then continue. That will always give you great results, guys. Continue, Sashi, from here.
Absolutely, Kavita. I think all very nicely brought together, I would say. Sanil started with saying how things could change based on, even a high-level leadership change or directional change for the organization could be a distractor, or you could look at it as change in priority. Yes, there is a direction change, there is a leadership change with which there will be some direction changes coming along. And Ananta brought another very important and interesting view, where when your competitor is doing something, how you want to delight your customer by giving something, either it is different feature or a comparable feature which could put you on the same sector or the same section of the usage or the customer experience. So how a competitor in the industry could also be a distractor or could bring in some sort of change in priority. Hence, you have to shift your focus for your organization. And Kavita brought in, I think you have planned for customer delight in one way, and then something like a pandemic hits the entire globe. And do you look at it as a distraction? Yeah, you can. And what happens when you look at something as a distraction? We can only blame. We can look helpless, or we can sit there and say, hey, something happened, hence my plans went for a toss. I'm not able to stick to my priorities. And if you just think about it, change your mindset and think about it from a different direction or a different way, then you start thinking, okay, this has happened. Now, how do I make my priorities align to what is needed today? And how do I reprioritize, or how do I relook at my plan and change it accordingly? I think Kavita also brought how the features could be modified when something like this hits. It could be a distraction, or you look at it positively and say, hey, you know what, this is what the customer needs. Let me make sure I provide that. And on the personal front, of course, we have all had to align our priorities differently. And interestingly, I also had a couple of situations which I wanted to share. One is like at an organization level. As a service provider, we were working with one of our clients in the Europe. And there were a couple of other larger vendors who were also engaged, and they were like the QA gatekeepers. With Agile, we already do a well-rounded acceptance criteria testing, automation, safety net is built, regression testing is in place, regression suite kicks in every time we do a code check-in, everything. But the client was very, very particular that it has to go through a QA certification by the other third party, because they have paid millions and millions for their multi-year contract. So they have to engage that quality assurance manager somehow in all the projects that they do. And they were following Prince2 as well, and they were following the norms and the guidelines of Prince2. Here we are, one small program which we are running with Agile. We are sitting in that ecosystem, but the larger ecosystem has its own restrictions and its own standardization. So we always felt, the team on the ground always felt it was a distraction. They would say, hey, where is your test strategy? Where is your test plan? And we'd be like, everything is documented in Jira, in the stories. They were like, no, I want to tie it back to the requirements, right? The team always used to feel very bad saying that, you know what, everything is tested. They can hardly find any defects. But we have to sit and document and go for hours and hours of meetings to walk through the document. And we have to keep it updated. While Agile Manifesto says that, less documentation, now here we are caught in the middle of this, where you have to document, you have to still follow their norms and, conditions. While it was a distraction for our team, it was very important for the larger organization to stick to their guidelines, because that's their goal, making sure that, everything goes through a particular process. One way it helped us is always tie it back to the larger vision and the goal. If we understand that there are implications if they don't stick to it, then how can you reduce the effort, or how can you kind of minimize it being a blame or a crib? Rather look at, okay, it adds some value to their organization, hence we are following that. Or you find in smarter ways, you provide that information if it's already available. You don't have to do it the way they do. So these were some of the lessons that we learned, where it could be coming in as a distraction, but it could be for the benefit of something else. It brings in creativity. You try and learn to manage those kind of situations in a different way also, right? So in my opinion, in my view, I think while anything that impacts our plan and our prioritization could be looked at as a distraction, it's just the mindset which is also at play there at business level, at personal level, to be open to see it's just a changing priority. The needs of my stakeholders are changing. Be it your family. Today, my son may say, hey, you know what, I don't need your time. But tomorrow he might say, I need your time. You need to drop me to school. It's not like, hey, yesterday we agreed that I'm not going to drop you. Today, I can't drop you either. It's not that. That's a simple example. So there is always another way to look at it and see how we can change our plans. Having discussed enough about distracting factors, again, with reality, how do we tackle these? One, how do we go about prioritization itself so that it helps us stick to our priorities? So there are two things that I'm looking at discussing next. And I'm going to start with Kavita on this one and see if she could briefly touch upon how she goes about prioritization and how in maybe one of the situations she has managed to stick to her priorities.
Yeah, nice question. Good one, Shashi. Though we know prioritization has to be done, yeah, what would be the right way for me to approach this and get into a right list of prioritized items? Okay, let me take my own example. Working in the product that I'm currently working, there are multiple ways we can prioritize. Sometimes intuition tells us, sometimes people tells us, sometimes C-suite leaders details comes from them. but there are always the best way, to get them prioritized, and you will have a reason behind grouping them. Yeah. So in my experience, I always I've tried this way, and I've seen success most of the time. Like the best way, or to start with, grouping the features by theme. Yeah, but when I say themes are nothing but themes can be company goals, themes can be product vision, or the overall strategy of a particular product. So when I know what is my end goal is, or what is the goal of a particular MVP that I am releasing for this sprint or anything, then I will group my feature as themes, so that I know which theme is going to be of more value. Okay. So grouping by themes also help you to make sure you are working on types of features that are most important right now, while also avoiding the issues that may happen in future, or also cutting down on the noises that may be coming in way of your implementation or during your sprint. Yeah. So that is one universally used or followed method, where we can always group your features by themes and continue from there. So while I say that, I've also, a few of my mentors, I have seen them using Kano method to prioritize. Like this method is very simple, and you can relate yourself to it when you follow that, because it tries to group them features based on the customer's delight, like if whether this particular feature is going to bring you wow factor, or it's going to be just a okay factor, or it's like just going to be there and it's going to be used very rarely, kind of thing. So it is like relates to the emotion, or brings in the empathy factor when you try to group them or prioritize them. Yeah. So there are seems like changing. Okay, let's continue from here. Though there are multiple proven ideas, ways of prioritizing, I predominantly choose one of these methods to get things straight, and and have a proper plan in mind, and as well as in my roadmap, so that I move a march towards that. Okay. While I do that, I also keep my ears and eyes open to my sales and support team, because they, in most of the cases, sitting in Chennai, I don't, interact with the business directly, whereas my sales and support team would do it day in, day out. So I listen to calls, try to, tap them on few of the support calls, or I'll talk to the sales leaders and understand, what could be the right thing to act now. Yeah, rather than just doing what we have already planned sometime before. Another way that we also try to is like prioritize the features on the return on investment, because eventually we have to see what is going to make the business as well happy, rather than just focusing on features that we are just going to build based on interest or intuition. Okay. When I say all this, right, my greatest success with respect to prioritization is not just prioritize and leave it there and just allow people or my team to continue with that. I always believe in reprioritizing, or having a regular cadence with the right stakeholders, the right people who will make me, or punch me with reprioritizing. Because whenever I am not thinking or trying to discover more, or bringing in additional values, rather just doing what is asked or said, it's going to be very monotonous. So always try to know, I want to know, close this by saying, think about reprioritizing, bring that as a practice, have it as a habit. That will always help you guys. Over to you, Sushi.
Very good start on talking about how to go about prioritizing. Um, as an agile coach, experienced agile coach who faces a lot of challenges in reality, let's hear from Ananta as well. on this particular question of how do we go about prioritizing, and also how does he stick to the priorities when there are challenges?
Yeah, thanks, Sashi. Thanks, Kavita, as well. So, Kavita, you just touched upon one model of Kano. Well, from an agility perspective, or from the professional network perspective, you have other models like Moscow, Kano, business model, customer delight. Lots of other models are there. But having known all these things, we do use it at some point of the time or the other. But from a coach, I always look at few other things out of this set as well. The reason is, though, those also help us in prioritizing. Those also help us in understanding what to do next. So one is the typical ceremony of retrospection in the agile world. Now, I really emphasize on that. That gives a lot of light. We have a set of priorities. We do quarterly planning. We have at least schedule and all those things, yes. But retrospection gives us a lot of ammunition on to understand whether do we need to really shift them. Is there something prioritized, which has come up, which was not known when we started, especially if the teams are moving into agile, the transitioning phase. Well, transformed teams, agile transformed, agile embrace teams, they do it much better, but at least in the transition phases, this is one challenge. The same thing I would say, this is with respect to at the team levels. Now, when you move higher up in the plane, say for example at the portfolio program level or even enterprise level, you have your scrum of scrums which really help us to understand and prioritize things. So it bubbles up. Basically, from the team level, it just bubbles up, the bottoms up approach. So that is that. Now, this is an agile way. Now, when you look at, for example, a typical framework like scaled agile, we also have the PI retros and the PI planning, again quarterly planning and the PI retro on how we should be reflecting. So everywhere this prioritization comes into picture, everywhere we reflect and we know that these things have to change or we'll have to embrace those changes. Well, this is on the professional front. How about on the personal front? Pandemic situation, don't we prioritize? We do it just like that. It is like what we know at the back of our palm. We know that very well. We do it implicitly. We all know where to prioritize, how to prioritize, and then we pick it up and just keep doing it. So that is where our big challenge comes in. Challenge in the sense on the prioritization. As Kavita did mention, where do I prioritize, family or work? When do I log in on the personal front? So that is how you have to do prioritizing. And I emphasize these few points when I coach the teams as well. Thanks, Sashi. Over to you.
Thank you, Ananta. Two great perspectives. And I'm going to shift our focus right now to Vijay to hear his views on how he goes about prioritization. And if he could, Vijay, you can also share from your experience, how did you cope up with changes and how did you manage to stick to your priorities?
Yeah. Thanks, Shashi. So first, I would like to start with +1 to Kavita what said. So I don't want to repeat, but clustering teams to keep the ideas manageable, Kano delighters, Kano method for delighters, listening to the stakeholders, return on investment is a key prioritization parameter, and realizing that prioritization is a continuous activity. Absolutely +1 on all of these things. And again, the other +1 on Ananta, retrospection is very, very important. A very underutilized activity, reflection is very important. And bottom up in PA planning, I think beautifully brought up by both these people. So one additional challenge that I would like to highlight and touch upon here is, as a product manager, you're always bombarded with today's problems, right? But what about planning for tomorrow? Technology, product, or the customer expectations are constantly moving ahead. Think of artificial intelligence, virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented reality, in-app product engagement instead of traditional sales model. Things are changing. Single-click experience, that's the expectation of the customers today. So how do you manage both today's problems versus tomorrow's expectations, both from a technology or a product perspective? Herein, I think the Horizon mental model comes in very handy, and I'm using it as much as possible. It advises you to classify your business product priorities into H1, which is core, right? That's where your business gets maximum of its revenue today, and H2, which is adjacency, and H3, which is transformation, and also beautifully gives a proportional investment in all the three, as 70% in core, 20% in adjacency and 10% in transformation. So you need not have to be guilty about either working only about the core or working all the time to transformation. Here is a beautiful way by which you can balance the both, and both are equally important, because for all you know, you might get your revenue from the 10% investment that you did today 3 years from now. That will become your core 3 years from now. So that's important. So I wanted to add. The second aspect I would like to highlight is it's not a method, right? So as Ananta said, it's more about a mindset. So prioritizing is not just about saying yes to things that matter. It's more about saying no to things that don't. And in that sense, prioritizing is more than an art, just a science, right? It's you can have multiple models, but can you master that art of being able to say no? And what's the first step for that? You need to have a clarity of vision, the purpose and priorities. That's the first step. And once it's clear in your mind, it's all about mastering the art of saying no again, and again. You will have to be able to say no. And it's an art because you need to learn to say no, one, politely, so that you're not hurting anybody else, but very assertively, so that you're not hurting yourself, and also not feel guilty about it. So it's about saying no. It's not a method, but it's all about saying no and maximizing that. And third, I would like to highlight is the prioritizing is more contextual. For example, in a day for me, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. is for the office. I get up early. I'm an early riser. I go to office, reach by 7:45, and my time starts at 8. And my time closes at 5. And from 5 to 8, it's for my family. And weekend is strictly for my family. This is a meetup over a weekend for after many years for me, because thanks to the online webinars. Otherwise, weekends are strictly for my family. And that's contextual. And with the current COVID situations, the time is more fluid today than ever. And so contextuality has become all the more important. So it's for us to decide. I think all of us are adults. We can decide what is important at any point in time. I have a son's music program in the evening. That gains priority over anything else. I have a delivery over the weekend, and hence that takes priority. My parents feel a little low, or there is a health issue, that gains priority. So it's all about balancing that. And the final, which I love very much, I believe, and I have a lot of conviction around that, is the priorities is not about just yourself. It's not about yourself. It's about the priorities of the people that you care about. For instance, in my personal instance, right? The wife, my family, I care about. So getting a coffee and talking over a coffee first thing in the morning is too important to my wife. She may be asking many things. I might not be able to do it, but this one is too important. I don't want to miss that chance. It need not be my priority, but it's her priority, and I absolutely want to prioritize that. And for my son, sitting as a family watching an animation movie over dinner is too important on a Friday evening. And all these parameters are equally important. It has to be done as a family, and he has to watch an animation movie, and it always had to happen in the night over dinner, period, and on a Friday evening. And for my parents, going to a beach nearby and spending time as a family with the beauty of nature and relaxation is too important to them. So it's not just about your priorities, but learning to think what's priority to the people that care. And in the same vein, what's important to my team, which is not about me. In a professional setup, what's important to my team, to my division, and to my company. And I have to align my priorities, or rather balance my priorities, because I believe that the whole is larger than the sum of the parts. I'm just part of a larger organization. So we have to add the maximum value. I'll have to be in that sense. So in summary, I believe I touched upon 3-4 things. One, you need to be able to prioritize today's needs versus tomorrow's expectations. A horizon model is a beautiful mental model. Prioritizing is more an art of saying no than saying yes to things. And prioritizing is contextual. And last, I think it's just not about you or your product, but you and your family, and you and the product and the company and the division. Over to you, Sashi.
Beautiful, Vijay. Thank you for sharing multiple different perspectives, actually. And let's hear from Sanal. Sanal, quickly, if you can share your thoughts as well around, how do you go about prioritization? That would be great.
Yeah, thank you, Ananta, Anand, and Kavita for giving an excellent techniques on how to prioritize. So as my company, I will give you a real example how we prioritize, maybe not in this COVID situation. Otherwise, how do we prioritize for a ALM tool, which is a legacy system, more than 15 years old product. And we have a lot of customers and lot of product backlogs, technical debts, UX changes, all these things. So we list all these things and keep it in a different themes and bring everything into a room with all the stakeholders. We may even try to get our customers also during the first session, where everybody will come into that, and PO will make a priority list of the items that need to be planned for the next release. That's how we come into picture, and then there will be a lot of discussions going on. Collect all the list of your tasks, identify the urgent versus important. There will be a lot of debates going on, which to prioritize first. Once we done this, PO will come with the final list. And we also look at the value, what it's going to deliver for the customer. So end result should be an ROI, where you get your product to the market at the earliest as a product increment or minimal viable product, and get from what the customer result is. So when you prioritize, right, you always be flexible and adaptable. You cannot be rigid saying that, okay, I can go only with these list of activities. There will be a lot of debate going on, but at the end of the day, right, your PO will decide on your priorities based on the company values. Once that is done, the team doesn't have much to the individual prioritization. When it comes to the team, teams get into a meeting or a call, list down all the PBIs that they plan for a particular sprint. You may do the estimate also. By the time you come to the discussion, there will be an estimation already put on that. And what you do is basically you prioritize the list that is bigger in the sprint, because we always have a tendency to take the lesser one and do it fast. But the priority always goes for the bigger one, so that you will get ample time to complete in a 2-week sprint. So, and as Ananda and Vijay pointed, we have to say no when you have to say no, because at times, right, you will get a lot of hindrance from different stakeholders to get into that. So it's a PO's duty to make sure that things that are coming is priority. If there is a priority and it takes a business value, definitely we need to reprioritize. So with that, I think that's all I can tell you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanal. Thank you. I think great point of views. Sanal beautifully added how things could be revisited, reprioritized as we go about it. And Vijay brought in views from personal as well as from the business side. Ananta from his work experience side, and Kavita too. I just want to add one thing, and also in the interest of time, would like to go back and look at some of the Q&A. I think it's very, very important that we are aware, whatever technique, whatever approach we use, be willing to align with the larger goal and the vision. Have some mechanism in place to see if it is all aligned. If something has changed, hence we have to realign. And how do you do that? Again, by practice it comes, and sometimes you can do it in terms of planning as well. There is also a question which I'm going to just add on and answer here. Megha has asked, how do you prioritize tech against business priorities and future enhancements? Sometimes we may have to plan in such a way that you have a buffer. You know that if you're in a hurry to be productive and make sure that you are running with the plan and the velocity that you have planned for your sprints, you may want to have 1 sprint or 2 sprints where you can completely focus on tech things. You can bring it as your planned focus area or an important thing that you want to focus on. Otherwise, it becomes an urgent or an immediate issue that you have to tackle. And then you will have to again see how has it put you in terms of quality? How do you replan? How do you educate the stakeholders? How do you help them align with what's important to you? I would like to quote here how Vijay brought in his personal situation here. It's very, very important. It's two ways. When we are working with customers or when we are working with stakeholders, we should help them understand our priorities, the impact it creates if we do not prioritize something like a tech test. Sometimes we may have to say, you know what, let's stop adding features. The quality is really in a bad state. Right now, our priority should be to focus on the tech test. Let's fix it, let's build a safety net around it, then let's move on to adding features. Otherwise, it's going to create huge impact, larger impact than what benefit we are trying to create for the customer. So I think how to go about using the techniques, and in reality, we'll have to tweak it. We will have to work with a lot more communication and transparency with the customers, taking them along, we understanding their priorities and them understanding our priorities and the larger goal and the vision. If anything that is being done in silo can impact that larger goal and the vision. So how can all the stakeholders be open, flexible to revisit, align, and reprogram is an important element of going about how to prioritize and how to stick to our priorities. Just quickly summarizing the panel discussion today, there are 2 or 3 takeaways for myself, and I'm sure that audience who are listening to this discussion will also take this as the point of views that we are sharing today. We never want the day to run us. We want to be running the day, which requires some amount of planning and understanding what's my priority, what is important versus what is urgent. Urgent things will always come our way, but make sure that you determine and focus on the right priorities, which requires some thought process, some planning, and making sure that you have your priorities understood and available to you. Only then you can make time for what's important. This being said, how do you control or manage the distraction? That's reality. What is important to you is important to you. Something which becomes important to somebody else will come your way as a blocker because it's urgent for them. They missed their priorities. They couldn't stick to their priorities. How do you then manage that? Beautifully, a couple of our panelists did say that learning the art of saying no. It's only by saying no that you can concentrate on the things that are important to you. It's not just us panelists saying, we all know Steve Jobs. This is one of his famous quotes that he quoted every time he spoke about priorities as well, right? Learn to say no, it's okay. And it can be done beautifully well, assertively well. You're not offending or defending anybody. And align your priorities to the larger common goal. That will help you always come back. Shift your focus to the right priorities if you always keep the big picture in mind and the larger goal and the vision in mind, right? One parting comment or a statement I would like to say is always think about reflecting, reprioritizing, and reprogramming. I think that is important, especially in the agile world when there are beautiful frameworks and rituals available to us. So reflect, reprioritize, and reprogram. That would be our a combined takeaway that we would, as a panel, we would like you to take away. And now probably we should look at some of the questions, and we have about 12 minutes left. I did see a couple of questions. Ananta, there were a couple of questions addressed to you, and yeah. Absolutely. I think, are you reading the question? You want me to read it to you?
No, I have gone through the question. So one question is on how do you prioritize when they are equally competing features or compelling priorities? How do you prioritize among them? That's one. And I'd also like to add on to Anil's statement on mindset, cultures, and stuff like that. So let me start from Anil's. So I like to quote one of the classic examples. My good friend here had been a coach in the SolarWinds here. So what had happened was, in that they have a unique culture. So they prioritize things slightly different. It's a pull and a push mechanism. People vote on what needs to be done. So they have a list of features what needs to be presented, and people vote as an organization. And a person picks it up, pulls the team in the sense, sets up the team. So I'm interested, I'm party to it. So we go, we present. So that is more of the culture of the organization. That's really a mature organization where we have such kind of ingrained or fine-grained items, or I would say qualities rather than items. But yes, you are right, Anil, in stating that it is more of the culture and organization and mindset to achieve or ensure that the prioritization happens effectively. So that's most important. Accept that. Just wanted to quote this example in relevant to your thought. And to answer to Padma's question on conflicting protests, that always happens. We all know, yes, it does. We have multiple priorities on the table. Where do we equally competing, equally challenging, equally balanced, if you want to say. What we generally do, typically apply principles like your trade-off matrix. You say which adds value to the customers and stuffs like that. But at some point of time, all these things tally. Even the best of the best principles on scaled agile framework, the WSJF, the cost of delay, whatnot, you do calculations. Sometimes invariably it comes to a situation where it just says yes, these two are equally important. I can't scale up, meaning I can't ramp up my team. I just have set of people with me. Challenges are there even from that front. So what do I do and how do I handle it? I reflect back to that statement, art of saying no. That is one. So you will have to push something behind. So that is a call which a product owner needs to take judiciously, consciously. The second most important principle I would like to bring in, and this is a takeaway again for every one of us on this in this panel as well as the audience, is a term called as simplicity, lean principle, art of maximizing the work not done. I'm repeating it, art of maximizing the work not done. So underline that word, bold, italics, make it red, whatnot, capitalize to everything. That's very, very important. So it's not just saying no, but you should know what you should not be doing also. So these two should help you in putting one priority higher in a slightly elevated higher plane when compared to the other priority. Two conflicting ones to the same levels, whatnot. So that is a couple of techniques which we as a coach I have employed it. It has been effective. This I'm reflecting from my practical experience. This can also be used for your personal life. Whatever I spoke, it can be used for your personal life as well. Reflect on a daily basis on what you've done and retrospect, and then you become a better person tomorrow.
Thank you,
Yes,
Ananta.
Shashi.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for answering those questions. Vijay, would you like to answer the question from your perspective on how do you prioritize tech debt against business priorities or future enhancements?
Yeah, that's a day in day out challenge that any of us have to face. I think some of the ways that I've worked in the past and for me, and sort of also becoming a best practice is we call something as a red lock sprint, right? Something that you also said, Shashi. So you have probably, if there are 6 sprints, which are 2 weeks usually in a quarter, the 7th sprint, make it small in just 1 week and give it only to the engineering. You call it redlock, you call it hardening, you call it stability, whatever be it. You're focusing only on technical debts at that point in time. That's a beautiful practice. Maybe that will work to a great extent. Second, very on the same lines, 80%, 20% rule. Product manager, myself, and the product development team has to believe that at any point in time, 70 to 80% is focused on product features and 20 to 30% is focused on engineering features. It need not have to wait only for a deadlock sprint, but even on a regular basis, this is a fair ask to do. That has also helped us in the past. And more than methodologies, as I always said, right? It's about the people. If I have a great architect in hand, right, who can think big, start small, and scale fast. There's a mindset if that architect can apply. He needs to still think, right? Why tech debts are usually happening? Because what you did sometime before, 3 months or 6 months before, is not able to help you scale 6 months from now or today. But a great architect with a lot of experience who can think on these lines, thinking big and starting small and scaling fast, something like an AWS, right? You scale as you go. And if he's able to configure the product in such a manner, I am of a firm conviction that he should be able to detect that the amount of tech debts will definitely come low. So I believe in that people. Invest in the right people that can think in that way. So neither do you over engineer so that you are losing on the market to speed to market, nor not think about the bigger picture at all. So you'll have to think big, but still start small and have all the flexibility in place that you can scale fast. So that's a very good that I think that I've always believed in. And it's more about communications, Sashi. It's just not about anything else. I believe the PM, the PX, which is the designer, and the product development team. It's a magic trial. All these people have to come together if the magic on a product needs to happen, right? So while I am responsible for giving that communication, saying, guys, I know you have a tech debt. It looks very, very important and urgent to you. But I have a customer here. He's just putting a comment on the forum that, and he's just escalating something that has nothing to do with what you're actually looking right today. So it is that picture of, can even the engineer start to appreciate the product from a customer perspective? It's not about a product manager, right? Can you put the customer at the center of your entire work? And that will give a lot of clarity. And if I have a conviction that I have a partner in development that puts the customer at the center of prioritization, I may not have to worry. He just says me, I need this. I give him 30%. I give him 40%. I give him 20%, whatever he asks for. In fact, I had relationship with my development managers where I don't ask any questions at all, because it's the trust. The moment I know that he believes in prioritization and he thinks that customer is important, yeah, it's done. My work is done. I need not have to come to that way at all. So these are some of the things that have helped in my work, Sashi. Not if that helped the people, but I think it's about the people, having the right kind of people, and these three magic people talking to each other. And as a methodology, probably a red lock or 80-20%. That's coming.
Very nice. Magic people talking to each other. I like the way you put it. Interesting chat also going on around. Priyank asked a couple of questions, and really very detailed view on how you can prioritize tech debts over the future enhancements that may come your way as well. I think we can keep continuing to talk about this. Actually, we had a few questions as well that came to our mind, which we wanted to cover, but in the interest of time, I don't think we'll be able to cover those. But it would be nice to have these kind of discussions continuing. We are all available on LinkedIn as well, and through ANI, we could continue to have these discussion forums offline.
I think
Thank you
Sanil had
again
something
for
to
the
say,
ANI.
Sashi.
Oh, did he? Sorry, Sanal. Do you
Yeah.
want to add something?
Yeah. I just wanted to add about the how to prioritize the tech debts and the features, right?
Sorry,
What we generally do is we'll have a separate branch for tech debts, because mainly because our is a legacy system. If you make major changes, it will affect the entire system and it breaks. So what we usually do is we'll have a branch where people start working, and whatever you do it in the trunk will be committed always. But make sure that people are not spending much time to qualify that. We have a automated CI pipeline which will be running against the branch, and it will give a big result of failures and other things. So we don't mind. We'll straightforward look at the customer focus, look at the things what customer is looking at. At the same time, parallelly, we will make sure that we are incrementing our tech debts. At the same time, in some cases, we take first 10 tech debts from the list, as well as some features, so that we'll manage the show by updating our product with new technology changes as well as customer requirements. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sanal. I think that's a great suggestion as well. Looking at the time, we have about a minute. Would like to thank all of you panelists for being available and working with all of us, in the preparing discussions and all of that. And thanks to ANI from the panelist group, myself, Priyank and Rohit, for constantly being available and working with us. Over to you, Priyank, if you want to have any.
Thank you, Sashi, for an amazing moderation. I love the conversation. It was so great show today. So great job, and really appreciate on a weekend in the afternoon. You know what it means, right? So it's a really difficult choice to do an event at this time, but it was all value add to me personally. I learned a lot of perspective. I'm gonna immediately implement the ideas that you guys said. So that's had a lot of concrete takeaways, right? And I just wanted to thank the audience to come forward and attend this event on a weekend. Really appreciate you, and thank the panelists, Sanil, Kavita, Anand, and Vijay, and of course Sashi. of course, the chapter team who has brought this event forward. And we want to have more and more collaboration with all of you. It cannot be possible without humans and people coming forward. So come forward. It's a free platform. It will remain free forever, as much as I believe, and I'm here. So the intent is to bring the best possible knowledge forward, and then really create a conversation. So this is just a starting. We can have more and more conversation, and all what we need is you to come and collaborate with us. So looking forward for more conversation with you and everybody who is on call today. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Priyank. It's just not for the audience alone, Priyank. I believe the more that we were able to sit and think about these things, it was a great reflection. So otherwise you don't get it. We all understand priorities, right? But taking the time to reflect and convey in a way that it makes sense to audience was very revealing for us. Thanks for making that happen.
Yeah. Just on the same note, as there is a 1.5 minute left. Someone is like, I'm like, I lived in a city which has hills. So a lot of people ask, like, going to the apex, right, and going to the peak, what is there? So, the road to go there is more interesting, not the peak. So if you are from Delhi
Yes.
city, so
Absolutely.
then I heard you, all throughout in this context, it is amazing. I mean, like, that gives me more reflection about the way I think, as you very correctly said. So it's amazing. Thank you very much for adding a lot of value today, and we look forward for having you more often. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for the opportunity.
Have a good rest of
Bye-bye.
the weekend. Thank you. Bye bye.
Have a good
Thank you,
weekend.
everyone.
Bye-bye.